Hello, my dear students, and welcome back. I know exams are just around the corner, so let's quickly and easily master one of the most important chapters out there, trial balance.
You know, so many of you get really worried when your trial balance doesn't tally. But hey, tension nahi lene ka. I promise you, by the end of this, you're going to be a total pro at finding and fixing any error.
All right, so first things first. What exactly is this thing we call a trial balance? Cholo, let's dive right in and find out.
Okay, so think of it like this. You know how every single transaction has a debit and a credit, right? Well, the trial balance is basically just a simple check, a report card, if you will, to see if all your debit totals match all your credit totals. It's really our first line of defense against any mistakes.
And here's the basic format. This should look super familiar, just like in your textbook. It's really simple. You just list out all the accounts, and then you pop their final balances into the correct debit or credit column. See? That's all there is to it.
So how do you prepare it? It's a really simple 5-step process. First, find the balance of every single ledger account. Then, list each account and its balance in the right column. After that, you total up the debit column and then the credit column. And then comes the magic moment. You check if they match. This last step is absolutely crucial, my dear students. The two columns must be equal.
But you might be wondering, sir, why do we go through all this trouble, right? What's the actual point of preparing a trial balance anyway? Well, let's take a look at why it's so important.
You see, a trial balance really has 3 main jobs. The first one is to check your math, make sure all the numbers add up correctly. Second, if the math is wrong, it helps you locate the errors. You get to become a little accounting detective. And third, it's the foundation for preparing your final accounts, the profit and loss account and the balance sheet. It's the perfect summary of everything.
Now listen very carefully. This is a crucial point you absolutely must remember for your exams. Even if your trial balance tallies perfectly, I mean, debit equals credit, everything looks great, it doesn't mean your accounts are 100% accurate. How is that possible? Well, there can still be some sneaky, hidden mistakes. Surprising, isn't it?
So what are these sneaky errors? Let's look at the 4 main types of mistakes that can happen even when your debits and credits seem to match up perfectly.
Okay, first up we have the error of omission. This is exactly what it sounds like. You just omit something. You forget. Imagine you sold something to your friend Mohan for, say, 10,000 rupees, but you completely forgot to record the transaction. Since you didn't record the debit or the credit, the trial balance has no idea it even happened, so it still tallies. Next, we have errors of commission. Now, these are basically your everyday clerical mistakes. You know, a slip of the finger. You meant to type 2,500, but maybe you just typed 250. It happens to the best of us. But these are exactly the kinds of errors we need to be on the lookout for.
Now, the error of principle. This is a big one, Beta. This means you've broken a fundamental rule of accounting. It's a conceptual mistake. For example, say you buy a new machine for your factory. That's a capital expense, right? But what if you record it as a small, everyday repair cost? The amount you debited and credited might be correct, but the accounts you've used are completely wrong. That's an error of principle.
And finally, we have compensating errors. This is where you get, well, lucky, I guess, or maybe unlucky, depending on how you look at it. It's when one mistake on the debit side perfectly cancels out another completely unrelated mistake on the credit side. The trial balance still tallies, but it's hiding both of those errors from you. Very sneaky.
Okay, now for what I know you've all been waiting for, the most important part for your exams. How do we find and fix these errors? Let's put on our detective hats and get to work.
All right, let's look at a typical exam question. So the problem is, credit sales to Mohan for 10,000 rupees were wrongly recorded as only 1,000 rupees. You were short by 9,000. So what do you do now? How do we fix this? And here's how we fix it. Just look at the table. You can see the wrong entry we made and what the correct entry should have been. The solution is actually quite simple. We just need to pass a new journal entry for the difference. We were short by 9,000 rupees, right? So we simply debit Mohan's account for 9,000 and credit the sales account for 9,000. That's it. Problem solved.
Ready for another one? Let's try this. What if a salary of 2,000 rupees paid to an employee was wrongly debited to his personal account? Now this, as you know, is an error of principle. Salary is an expense, but we put it in the employee's personal account by mistake. How do we fix that?
Okay, look carefully at this one. The credit to the cash account was actually correct in the first place, so we don't need to touch it. The whole mistake was on the debit side. So the solution is to put the debit where it belongs, in the salary account. And to cancel out the wrong entry, we do the opposite. We credit the employee's personal account. So we debit the right account and credit the wrong account. See? The mistake is now completely fixed.
But what happens when an error only affects one side of an entry? And your trial balance, it just refuses to tally, no matter what you do. Well, for this situation, we have a special temporary account. It's like our secret weapon in accounting. It's called the suspense account, and it's basically like a temporary placeholder. Think of it as a waiting room for errors. You put the difference amount, whatever it is, into this account just to make the debit and credit totals match for now. This is super useful because it lets you go ahead and prepare your final accounts on time while you continue your detective work to find that one-sided error.
Let's look at a couple of quick examples to see how this works. In the first case, the sales return book was overcast. That's a fancy word for totaled too much, by 1,000 rupees. So the sales return account has too much debit. To reduce it, we need to credit it, right? So we credit sales return, and the matching debit goes to, you guessed it, the suspense account. In the second case, the purchases book was undercast, or short by 600. So the purchases account needs more debit. We debit purchases for 600, and the matching credit goes to the suspense account. Easy, right?
And here's the best part. This is the magic of it. Your goal is always to make the suspense account empty. Once you've found and fixed all of those little one-sided errors, its balance will automatically become zero. Poof! It just magically disappears from your books, as if it was never there.
Okay, so to recap, the crucial points you need to remember for your exam are these. 1. What a trial balance is for. Checking mathematical accuracy. 2. The 4 sneaky errors, omission, commission, principal, and compensation that can hide even if it tallies. And 3. How to fix errors, using either a correcting journal entry for two-sided mistakes or a suspense account for those tricky one-sided ones.
And that's it for today, my dear students. Now, I want you to go through the illustrations in your textbook, but this time with this new confidence. I know you can do this. You totally got this. All the very best for your exams, and I'll see you in our next explainer. Bye-bye.